The ocean does not simply swallow the river. Look closely, and you'll see two seas refusing to become one. We reflect on a barrier no hand ever built, the boundary the Quran called a barzakh, set between fresh water and salt. By the time this reflection ends, you'll see why this unmixing water is a mirror held up to your own heart. If your heart is ready to reflect, subscribe. A new sign of Allah awaits you every week. Pour fresh water into the sea and watch. Within moments, it disappears. Swallowed whole, no trace left behind. Every schoolbook, every instinct tells you the same thing. Water always finds water. Two liquids meet and they become one. Yet 14 centuries ago, in a stretch of empty desert far from any ocean, a different claim entered human memory. Words later gathered into the Quran, recited in a land of sand, to a people who had never charted a coastline. And what those words described was this: two seas, released side by side, and something unseen holding them apart. And it is He who released the two seas, one fresh and sweet, and one salty and bitter. And He placed between them a barrier and a forbidding partition. Barzakh. A barrier, not a wall of stone, but something unseen, standing exactly where it is placed. The same word for the unseen realm between this life and the next, now used for a boundary inside the sea. The same sign returns elsewhere in the same revelation, worded with even sharper precision. He released the two seas meeting side by side. Between them is a barrier they do not transgress. No ship had mapped this. No instrument had measured it. Only the words remained, waiting. 14 centuries would pass before anyone could see what those words had already named. Then came ships. Then came instruments. Then, finally, came a view from far above the water. What they found would confirm almost exactly what the desert had already spoken. What the eye could finally see, the heart had been asked to consider all along. From 400 kilometers up, you can already see it. A seam of color stitched across the ocean, sharp enough to trace with a fingertip. This is not a smudge, not a blur where two waters give way to each other. It is a border, held, exact, deliberate. Zoom closer and the illusion any of us grew up believing, that water always finds water, quietly falls apart. Mile after mile, the line does not waver. No storm has smoothed it away. No tide has folded it shut. Engineers call it a density front. 14 centuries ago, one man in the desert called it a barzakh, a barrier and a prohibiting partition. You have stirred a glass of water and cordial before. You know how fast the two become one. Yet here, where a river empties an entire watershed into the sea, the two refuse for miles.
From orbit, it looks almost drawn, as if someone had ruled a line across the water with a straight edge. And the closer you look, the stranger it becomes, because nothing here is solid. Nothing here should hold a shape at all. Beneath this line, the satellites can trace something is happening that no camera above the water can show you. You are standing, in a sense, at the edge of two worlds that refuse to become one. Say the word slowly. Barzakh. A barrier that does not simply exist, it is placed. No satellite existed to confirm this in the 7th century. No one had seen the Earth curve beneath them, yet the description was exact. And now, from orbit, we simply watch it proven true, mile after quiet mile. But a line this precise was never meant only to be admired from a distance. It was meant to be entered, so its true shape could be understood from within. So we descend, past what the satellites can show you, to where the barrier truly lives. You slip beneath the mirrored surface, and the light changes first. Gold scattering into blue-green shafts around you. Above you, the river's current still feels familiar, warm, bright, alive with motion. But a few meters down, something changes. The water ahead grows heavier, darker, and strangely still. There, a wall with no surface, hanging inside the sea itself. Fresh water is lighter, salt water is heavier. That single difference in density is enough to keep them from folding into one. Salt molecules pack the ocean water tighter. Weight against weight, the two never trade places. Temperature adds its own wall. The river runs warm from the sun. The ocean beneath runs cold from the deep. Two temperatures, two densities, two entire worlds of water occupying the same sea without becoming one. And along the seam itself, surface tension pulls tight. Like a membrane, the water refuses to tear. You reach toward it, and for a moment, your hand rests on the edge of two seas. Light itself obeys the boundary, bending, scattering, refusing to pass through cleanly. Scientists call this a halocline. The river calls it nothing. It simply obeys. Zoom close enough, and the boundary looks like smoke folded into glass, swirling yet never crossing. It behaves less like water and more like glass. A wall with a pulse, still and moving at once. No current stirs it away. No storm above erases it. The line simply holds. Three invisible laws working together to keep two seas from ever becoming one. Pull back, and the boundary doesn't end where your eyes can see. It stretches on, unseen, into the deep. You are hovering, quite literally, at the edge of two worlds. Neither sea moves to claim the other. Neither yields. Here, in this silence between two seas, order is louder than any current. Density, temperature, tension. Simple laws, yet none of them explain why someone wrote this down before it could ever be seen. The physics is only half the wonder. What comes next is the words that named it first. Not a wall of water, but something closer to a pane of glass, hovering just ahead of you, motionless, exact. So you pause here and unfold this sign the way an old scholar might have. Line by line, layer by layer. The river water beside you is lighter, so it floats. The ocean beyond is heavier with salt, so it sinks beneath. Two densities that refuse to trade places. Where those two densities meet, they do not blur into one. They hold a hairline seam in front of you, a boundary drawn thin as parchment. Light bends differently through each layer, which is why the seam glints and refracts before your eyes, like glass held up to the sun. Add a third force, tension pulling the seam taut, and the water in front of you stops behaving like a liquid and starts behaving like a held breath. Density, temperature, tension. 3 quiet forces, and together they build something no current passing you can undo. Return your eyes to the water itself, and the mathematics dissolves into beauty. Light falling through the seam as if it were falling through glass. To your left, water still lit by the sky, flowing, warm, familiar. To your right, water gone dense and dark, heavier than it looks, older than the river you came from. Nothing reaches in here by force in front of you, only the quiet laws written into water itself. And yet those laws align so precisely on so many coastlines on Earth that the boundary before you is never an accident. Physics has 100 words for this. The Quran gave you one 14 centuries earlier. Barzakh. Not a metaphor stretched to fit, a description that still holds, drop for drop, wherever you look for it. You hover there again, weightless, watching a line that should not exist hold perfectly still beside you.
Hold this picture closely, because what keeps 2 seas apart from you is about to reveal why apart is a mercy, not a wall. Somewhere along the seam near you, small lives are already choosing which side of the water they can survive in. Stay with that thought, because this barrier in front of you does more than divide. It protects. You return to the edge where 2 seas meet. But you're no longer only watching color. You're watching what survives and what cannot cross. A reef fish glides along the ocean's dark blue wall, never once slipping into the paler water beside it, as if it already knows the cost. Cross into salt, and the river fish's body would fail within minutes, its cells drained by water it was never built to hold. Cross into fresh, and an ocean fish would swell and die from water flooding in where salt once held it steady. And yet, right here, at the very edge, life gathers thickest, as if the boundary itself were an invitation, not a warning. This whole fragile world, every creature suspended here, depends on a boundary holding exactly where it is, second after second.
A forbidden partition.
The Quran does not call this barrier a wall alone. It calls it Hijran Mahjura, a partition, forbidden to be crossed. Forbidden, not as punishment, but as protection. A line drawn so neither sea destroys what lives in the other. Let that barrier fail for even an hour, and the sheltered nursery of the estuary would collapse, salt poisoning one world, fresh water dissolving the other. But it does not fail. Through tides, through floods, through storms, the line reforms itself, sharp as glass again within hours. Surface tension, density, temperature. 3 quiet laws of physics standing guard when nothing visible seems to hold the line at all. Unseen forces, precisely calibrated, sustaining 2 entire worlds of life without a single creature ever crossing over. Sunlight falls through both waters the same way, yet each side keeps what belongs to it. Fresh remains fresh, bitter remains bitter, and he placed between them a barrier and the forbidding partition, a single verse holding an entire ecosystem's law. What looks like separation, seen closely, is mercy in disguise, a boundary that protects rather than divides. You hover between two worlds that refuse to destroy each other, and something in that stillness asks to be remembered. A design this exact does not happen by accident. It is held every second in every sea on purpose. And if two seas can be held apart this precisely, perhaps a heart can be held steady too. Return with him to the man who spoke these words. No ship's instruments, no satellite feed, only revelation reaching a heart in the desert. He called it a barzakh, a barrier, the very word this verse uses for what modern eyes only recently confirmed. Hijran Mahjura, the verse adds, a partition forever forbidden to cross, not a suggestion, a law written into the water itself. And in Surah Ar-Rahman, the same sign returns, two seas released side by side, between them a barrier they do not transgress. For 14 centuries, sailors crossed these very waters and never knew what held them apart beneath the hull. It took modern oceanography, instruments measuring salt, temperature, and density to finally describe what that verse had already named. Then came the satellites, and the hairline boundary they photographed matched, almost word for word, what the desert already knew.
Sit with that for a moment. A description this exact was not something available to a man of that era. This is not offered as proof to settle an argument, only as an invitation to pause and to wonder. Look at the wider sea, and it seems like chaos. Currents crossing, tides pulling, storms churning without pattern. Yet beneath that apparent chaos sits an order too precise to be accidental. A small window into Al-Ghaib, the unseen. This is tafakkur, reflection, turning a single sign over in the heart until it opens into gratitude. Subhanallah, a word spoken in the sand, confirmed centuries later from orbit and from the depths alike. And if such order can be hidden this precisely in water, what else might be hidden just as precisely in you? That question waits quietly here, at the edge of two seas, for the reflection still to come. Hold the sign a moment longer before it leads you somewhere closer to home. Somewhere inside you, right now, two seas are already meeting. One is the world around you, loud, corrosive, saturated with doubt. The other is the quiet water beneath it all, the fitra you were born with, still fresh. All day the bitter tide presses inward, words, glances, screens, the noise that never rests. And all day, something in you tries to hold its shape against the current. Recall the estuary. A single drop of the wrong sea, and the fish of the other cannot survive it. Your heart is no different. Let the two waters fully mix, and what was pure does not stay pure for long. Yet you have stood at that glassy edge before, the moment you caught yourself and did not cross. That pause, that refusal, that was a wall where none should have held. Ask yourself, quietly, what is it exactly that keeps your water from turning to theirs? Not willpower alone, something steadier, older, placed there on purpose.
The same hand that forbade the ocean from swallowing the river. It is not asking you to leave the sea around you, only to remain unmixed within it, to be poured into a bitter world and still come out fresh. This is the sign turning inward now. No longer a river you watch from above, but a heart you carry within. And every heart carries its own confluence, its own quiet war between two waters. So what is it then, the barrier strong enough to hold? There is a name for it, and it was given to you before you ever needed it.
Beneath the surface, the two seas still hold their line. And here, at last, the sign turns toward your own chest. Because inside you, two seas meet too. One bitter with the world's noise, one still carrying the sweetness you were born with. And somewhere beneath the noise, a brighter current still runs, sunlit, clear, untouched. What keeps the sweet from dissolving into the bitter, when nothing but water separates them? A barrier not built by either sea, placed there and prohibited from ever being crossed. This is what Iman is inside you. Not a wall you build, but a barzakh placed there for you.